As many as 20% of the general population have dyslexia. This disability is most often understood as a reading disability. We're going to look more in depth at the neurological framework of dyslexia. We continue to learn more through research about best practices in assessment and intervention. At schools, we provide intensive trainings on these approaches. In this training, we will discuss the emotional impact of dyslexia and how we can use technology and this knowledge to empower, inspire, and instruct students with disabilities. It is often assumed that what is fair is equal. A common understanding of educational equality is that schools should offer all students the same education in the same way. However, when this idea is used to instruct students with disabilities, our outcome is harmful consequences and poor academic progress. As demonstrated by this cartoon, the assumed logic of equality is portrayed by giving the students all the same. They are all given the same amount of boxes to stand on. In contrast, the equity analogy portrays the different needs of individuals and how they all require specific support or different number of boxes to be able to reach a goal. When we provide the students with appropriate supports or modifications, we can remove any barriers so they have equal access to watch the ball game. Educators ethically must ensure that each student has the opportunity to find, figure out, and develop their skills and abilities based on their needs. Individually tailored education does not assume that every student needs the same or that their outcomes will be the same. Dyslexia is neurologically based and often hereditary. It is associated with difficulties in reading, writing, spelling, and organization. MRI shows the brains of people with dyslexia develop and function in a different way. In Dr. Sally Shaywitz's book, Overcoming Dyslexia, she defined dyslexia as a condition in which children and adults have a frustrating and persistent problem in learning to read through no fault of their own. It is a lifelong condition. As educators, we need to get to why interventions are so important to remediate skills and address the lifelong challenges of dyslexia. More than 700 million children and adults worldwide are at risk of lifelong illiteracy and social exclusion. Significant numbers of students with dyslexia go undiagnosed and their symptoms unaddressed, with tragic results. These statistics are overwhelming. 32 million of Americans of our population are illiterate. 23% of adults are limited or below proficiency in reading. 30 million adults can't read above the 5th grade level. 20% of high school graduates have not developed basic reading proficiency. 77% of children read to are more likely to read on their own. 21% of girls with below average reading will have a child by their teens. 2/3 of students struggling to read by 4th grade will have trouble with the law. 70% of our inmates score at the lowest reading proficiency, and 75% of welfare recipients have low reading proficiency. 60% of adolescents in drug and alcohol rehabilitation have dyslexia. 50% of youth in juvenile justice system have dyslexia. 32% of students with dyslexia drop out of high school and do not even receive a regular diploma. These statistics are overwhelming, and more overwhelming when you consider the true potential and gifts of students with dyslexia. 35% of entrepreneurs have dyslexia. Research shows that dyslexic entrepreneurs excel at oral communication, delegation, creativity, and spatial awareness tasks, as compared to non-dyslexics reported to as average or good. Additionally, 40% of self-made millionaires have dyslexia. According to Dean Bragnier of Noticeability Inc., dyslexia is known as the MIT disease at the nation's top engineering university, MIT. People with dyslexia have significantly longer axons in their brain. These axons are actually bridging the gaps between the left and right hemispheres of the brain. Due to this different neurological blueprint, they have cognitive strengths. Many professionals in engineering, architect, and entrepreneurial fields have dyslexia. People with dyslexia often have strengths interconnected reasoning, ability to see patterns, and recall vivid and complex blueprints to make a creation. This is what you probably have not heard about dyslexia. As I said, 35% of our entrepreneurs are dyslexic. 50% of NASA employees are dyslexic. And sadly, shame is the greatest challenge of students and adults with dyslexia. Sadly, dyslexia is a particularly powerful form of shame, and it involves a lot of vulnerability. Reading disabilities often match the intensity level of shame associated with incest. This shame stems from not understanding why reading and spelling are so challenging, lack of clear explanation about why, and negative interactions with peers and adults. According to Ben Foss, guilt is feeling bad about something you did, something you can fix. For people with dyslexia, shame is feeling bad about who you are. In his book, The Dyslexia Empowerment Plan, he shares a model to help children transition from seeing dyslexia as a disease to dyslexia as their identity. He also advocates to those with dyslexia to allow technology to become your new best friend. Extensions and apps are available in Chrome browser. Both are designed to work in combination with websites and the documents in Google Drive. For the dyslexic learners, extensions and apps can perform several functions that are helpful, including text-to-speech, dictation, word prediction, and text leveling. Today, we'll take a look at some of these apps and extensions that are beneficial for students with dyslexia. The Read and Write extension has many features. These features include text-to-speech with synchronized highlighting, a talking dictionary, a picture dictionary, and annotation tools. The toolbar adds functions for dictation and word prediction. If students are working with PDF documents within Google Drive, the Read and Write extensions opens these documents in new tabs that contain text-to-speech tools as well as various note-taking and annotation tools. Mercury Reader gives you a clear way to get rid of clutter from all your articles instantly. You would search for the article or website you need and open the link. Then simply click on the Mercury extension link and the document is instantly converted to a less cluttered document. You can also send to Kindle functionality and adjust typeface and text size and toggle between light or dark themes. Beeline Reader and Open Dyslexia provide a color gradient to the text and changes the font. The color gradient improves visual tracking from the end of the line to the beginning of the next. This adjustment makes reading substantially easier and faster. Open Dyslexic extension allows you to change the text to a font created to increase readability for readers with dyslexia. By overriding all fonts on the web page, the pages are formatted to be more easily readable. Letters in Open Dyslexia have heavy weighted bottoms, which creates a gravity to each letter. A dyslexic reader is able to quickly figure out which part of the letter is the bottom, and identification and ease of reading is improved. It helps to keep your brain from rotating these letters around. CoWriter is a word prediction extension. This extension assists the writer in generating a written response. When typing, CoWriter predicts the intended word. The extension uses a grammar smart word prediction process. The writer can have the suggestions read aloud by moving the cursor over the words. The selected word is placed into a built-in writing document. It also offers cues to extend sentences to add more information while writing. This is very helpful for students with dysgraphia during the writing process. While and after writing, the student can have the text read back to them. This program does not require any speech training to recognize the voice of the speaker. You can also change the font color, background color, and spacing based on the preferences of the writer. Outline extension removes ads, comments, and related links. It lets the reader read more comfortably without any distractions. You can paste a link, and with one click, the document is free of clutter, ads, or links. Scribe is an innovative extension that allows a reader to perform many different functions. The Scribe toolbar allows you to annotate, tag, and share online articles and web pages and save them to your Scribe account. You can select different colored highlighting, make comments and notes, which you can then populate to a Google Doc, share documents which you annotated, and then save your annotated version to your library. Snap and Read extension allows the text to be read, and it simplifies the vocabulary, translates text, reads inaccessible text, and captures and cites sources. After selecting your text, you can have the text read aloud. You can also set the level of readability and simplify the vocabulary. As you hover over the word, you can see the simplified and more complex vocabulary. With technology, we're advancing a new methodology to educate students with dyslexia. Significant numbers of students with dyslexia go undiagnosed and their symptoms unaddressed, with tragic results. As educators, we must continue to empower students with dyslexia to unlock their true potentials, gift, and passion. We have an ethical and moral obligation to ensure proper instruction is taking place in our schools, as well as helping each learner reach their true potential with no barriers.